Welcome everybody to our series of webinars. This is our very first one that's called Don't Get Furious, Get Curious. This series, Coping with Co-Parenting, is a follow-up to the parent education class that FamilyKind offers. Our focus tonight will be on the ability to use self-talk effectively, even during the COVID-19 crisis. We're doing a deeper dive into how to use self-talk so that it works much more effectively, particularly during these challenging times. We'd like to thank our sponsors, our Family Wizard and SoberLink, and to the parents who have made donations to help support our nonprofits webinar series. Please remember, as we say in our class, these suggestions are not right for everyone. Take what's good for you and leave the rest. And I would like to let you know who I'm joined with tonight, Diane Hessemann and Gerald Cannon.
Good evening, Ellen. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Gerald.
Good evening, Ellen. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Diane. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So we're going to wait to hear from you with some of your questions. Please feel free to add them to us, send them to us. We're going to do our best to get to as many as we can. However, if we can't get to them in the time that's allowed, we will use that to inform us of future webinars that you would like us to conduct. Now, as you know, we are talking about the self-talk skill, and even our children have self-talk. I'm going to have you listen to a poem I'm going to read from a book called Broken Hearts Healing. It's compiled by Dr. Tom Worthen. He assembled these poems from children around the country who are speaking out on divorce. Here's the first one. This is written by Brandon from Ohio. He's age 14 and it's called Whose Fault? A child waits atop the stairs, saying nothing, he only stares. Listening to his parents fight, hear them holler throughout the night. Who's at fault, me or the adult? Moving here, moving there, I try to act like I don't care. Soon follows a divorce, and my parents have no remorse. I still ponder about that question, the one that I dare not mention. So Diane and Gerald, let's talk about the poem a little bit. Diane, what do you think about what Brandon is telling us here?
Well, I think this tells us that children have self-talk as well. And it seemed to me that Brandon was asking if what was going on with his parents' dispute and divorce was his fault.
True. Gerald, what do you think?
I feel that if the parents had used self-talk initially, that the situation, it was a strong possibility that the situation may have not escalated or may not even occurred.
It's true. I hear what you're saying, that if they had been able to remain calm and talk to themselves about what if our child is hearing this, maybe this isn't what poor Brandon would have been thinking about.
Ellen, if I may, that is very important to remain calm. We definitely remain calm in all of this. That's definitely a good takeaway from in the beginning of the self-talk. One thing, just remain calm.
So let's define self-talk. What is it?
Well, self-talk is, we all have our internal conversation. So, some service, some don't. But if we keep in mind that we want to be the best versions of ourselves, those conversations, the self-talk that we have that is going to encourage is going to be positive. And not only do we want to be the best version of ourselves, but we want to be mindful of the children or child that is around us. so that we can keep them from being caught in the middle of the situations.
This is very true. So in our next slide, we give some examples of self-talk. Do you want to run us through these, Gerald?
Yeah, we have I mean, I'm capable. You know, the verbiage may differ, but you know, we want to stay within the contents of what we're saying. You know, so if I'm capable, however that may come across to you, I care about what's the best for our children. I can work things out with my co-parent. I can get through this. I got this. I'm ready to do something different so my child is not in the middle. The verbiage may be different because we may not speak in you know, that way, but you know, these are some helpful starters for you to keep yourself and, you know, keep yourself mindful, keep you in the, you know, in the ballpark of where we're going with this. It's because it's, you know, you want to stay positive.
Right, that's a good distinction right there. When do we use self-talk, Diane?
Okay, we use self-talk when we're feeling angry. And when we're feeling angry, what happens is that your feeling part of your brain, when you're triggered, is cut off from the thinking part of your brain. So to neutralize that, what you want to do is first calm down, think about, get curious and not furious, right? We also want to look at how, next slide, please. We also want to look at how anger is really a secondary emotion to another emotion. So things that could be triggering you in your co-parent, with your co-parent, is perhaps a late pickup of a child, or return of a child, or financial discussions, or changes in the agreed upon schedules or access time. And then once you've been triggered, you want to get curious and you want to ask yourself a question to check in to see what you think your co-parent's motives are. So that's just to repeat that, what you think your co-parent's motives are before you respond and not react. So what you want to ask yourself is, why are they saying that? Why are they acting that way? Are they suffering? So you're actually reaching behind that anger. And also, what's under their anger? Because what we said, anger is secondary to another emotion. There could also be, when you consider motive, is perhaps your co-parent doesn't have a motive.
Mm-hmm.
Or a negative one, or one that you think.
So Diane, you brought up such an important thing, and when we talk about this in our class about an emotion that precedes or is before you even escalate to anger, would you agree that sometimes we feel disrespected, or we feel worried, or we feel disappointed, or we're frustrated, and then it escalates to anger?
Absolutely, Ellen. Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then we're triggered.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we want to do is help to, by using self-talk and remaining calm, to help diffuse that anger and
Yes.
stop it from escalating.
Correct.
Gerald, what do you think about this next slide?
You know, it's interesting, you know, becoming empowered. You know, it's too often that we feel that things are being taken from us, and that in that particular essence, we become very defensive because again we feel things being taken from us, and so it's easy to be triggered again when you feel that you're being disrespected, violated, not respected. But again, we have to really think about, is something really happening to us, or are we the subject of this thing? And the answer is going to be no. It's not. We're not the subject, or don't make yourself the subject, because what we're trying to do is be the best version of ourselves for our child. So that should be our overall focus. There's becoming, empowered, not destructive. That is what you want to do. You want to realize, and this is kind of a stretch, but that it's not happening to me, but it's happening for me. And it's like I said, it's kind of a stretch because and realize that what we're on behalf of this parent because of the child that we have, and we're trying to negotiate what's in the best interest of the child. So be aware of the circumstances and the impacts, especially on the child. When we're dealing in the situation. These are the things that we should focus on in our self-talk, be more effective in achieving goals, having better outcomes. Again, these are the mindful things that we want to continue to harp on. And most of all, in it all, just be calm. Don't look at things as an attack. There's something that we share. It's I over E. And it's always going to be intellect over emotion. And we mentioned the amygdala hijack, and that's exactly what that amygdala hijack. If you allow that amygdala to continue to hijack you, you're going to operate E over I. And then we have that destructive, not, we're being destructive, and we're not allowing ourselves to be empowered in a positive sense. So yes, remain calm, recognize that you are empowered, be aware of the circumstances, effective, be more effective in achieving the goals, focus on those goals, and just be calm in it all so that you can so we can continue. And I'll make it personal. I'll involve myself in this so we can be the best versions of ourselves as we navigate this.
So Gerald, what I'm hearing you say is we can have the negative self-talk, or we can choose to have the positive self-talk. And the positive could be, I can remain calm. I got this. I like to say that a lot. That one works for me a lot. And that not to take things personally as an attack. I think you've pointed out some really important things for us that we only get to talk a little bit about in our class. So I'm glad we're doing this deeper dive into some of these important distinctions. So at this point, I would like to see some sample questions that we've got. There we go. I'm trying to be different, but my co-parent always talks down to me. What self-talk can I use? Mm-hmm. So Diane, do you want to give this a shot?
Yes. Thank you. That's a great question. And I hear that question a lot. So what you would do is, we would always start with calm down, don't get furious, get curious. And maybe ask yourself, some questions along the lines of, does the way my co-parent talk to me affect my child, right? You might feel terribly insulted, but you might want to start thinking about things in a different way. So if it doesn't affect my child, maybe I should just let it go. If it does affect my child, then you would need to step in and tell yourself, I'm going to strategize how to share my concern with my co-parent. And some examples of strategies could include crafting iMessages. And sending an iMessage, you might need to do it via or email. Now at FamilyKind, we have a wonderful program that really zooms in on assisting parents with these iMessages, because sometimes they can feel like new language or a little bit awkward. So with Good Talk for Parents, we help parents to really help that to become part of their vocabulary. And we also assist parents with crafting the emails that would contain the iMessages. And we would help them to also look at, hey, are they fighting words? Are we being mindful of what could trigger our other parent and then keep the cycle going, right? Or are we looking to diffuse that and to come up with some kind of a resolution as opposed to something that's going to trigger further arguments? Because our goal here is with aligning with the other parent and not alienating them, not alienating them from our communication, right? I would just say, Good Talk for Parents has proven to be a very effective program with structure and really good ideas about how to co-parent your communication skills with your co-parent.
So let's look at what the next slide says about iMessages. Oh, okay. I guess I'm wrong. We don't have that up yet. Okay, well, here's another question. My co-parent won't let me see my child on a day that's not my scheduled day. What would be some good self-talk on this one? Gerald?
First and foremost, again, remain calm. In many cases, in many instances, one of those deep cleansing breaths would kind of be effective right now. And then things that we mentioned before was thinking about what might be not negative, but what could possibly be going on in the co-parent's mind as to why are they withholding this information. And then your positive self-talk would be something along the lines of, I can have a mild or calm conversation with my co-parent to with getting the effects of getting more time with our child. So these are things that we need. But first and foremost, be mindful, be calm, take a deep breath. You see, one thing the parents have an advantage of, the co-parent better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. So you can understand their come from to a degree. But again, focus on the positive outcome opposed to thinking about something's happening to you. Again, it's happening for you, not to you. And it's all about the child and remembering I over E, as we have a little clever saying that I over E makes a better me. So, focus on those things, because one of the most important things, though the child, it may not be seen there, but the children are always either listening or looking from someplace. We're constantly being watched. So, be mindful of what we do and how we do it, and being the best versions of ourselves really gives them a good idea of how to negotiate these situations, these challenging times that we're going through.
It's all such an important review of what we've been talking about, even on another layer. It doesn't look like we're going to have time tonight to get into iMessages, so we will do that in another webinar, both a longer one and a shorter one. I did, before we wrap up, want to let you know that you will receive or be able to visit the archived recording of this. And I have another parent here who mentioned to become empowered. It's not just in dealing with our co-parent, but in all areas of our life, as a parent, as a professional, yes, as a child ourselves. So and there are many more comments. We appreciate them all. Unfortunately, we have to move on. I would like to ask Diane first, and then Gerald, what is the one key takeaway that you want parents to have from our discussion tonight?
Okay, so what I would suggest, what resonates with me with what we've said tonight, is if we could learn how to respond as opposed to react, and if we could be mindful of what our fighting words are. I think what Gerald says really, kind of ties this all up nicely about, we know our co-parent better than anyone, right? And we would know how to trigger them, and we would also know the best effective ways of communicating with them as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Gerald, what do you think our key takeaway is for our listeners tonight?
We are empowered in these situations. Acquaint yourselves with the tools. Self-talk is just one of them. So just acquaint yourself with the tools and be mindful that we're doing and we want to be the best versions of ourselves for our children, because we're showing them how to navigate this life. And this challenge is just one of the challenges that they may face. And the way we navigate it is going to imprint upon them how they're going to choose to navigate it. So be mindful of what's going on. keep in mind, I over E is a better me.
It's true. Gerald, thank you for reminding us all as parents that we are the role models for our children. So that's something we often forget, that it's amazing how children pick up on things that we say or look or feel without us even knowing that they're picking up on it. So thank you for pointing that out. Everybody, this is our first, as I mentioned, full-length webinar. We were going to continue to have them the first Monday night of each month at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can register to attend them on FamilyKind.org. And as I mentioned earlier, they will be uploaded, this one most likely tomorrow. So if you wanted to recommend this to somebody, by all means, invite them to participate, not live with this one, but in future ones. We also are beginning to record some mini parent Q&A videos. That's also available on our website. Those are 5 to 7 minutes in length. And most importantly tonight, I want to emphasize that this webinar is being conducted during the COVID crisis. We wish all our viewers, their families and communities, good health and safety during these challenging times. I also want to thank my distinguished and wonderful colleagues, Diane and Gerald. And FamilyKind has the amazing expertise of Patty Murray, Public Relations. You see our producer, we couldn't be doing this without her. We also couldn't be doing this without a lot of other staff that provide great services. FamilyKind offers live and online services to support co-parents, including parent education, coaching, mediation, and parent coordination. And our contact there is Emily Jonas. She's the Director of Parenting Services. Her contact information is on this slide. And most importantly, we want to thank our very generous sponsors. Our Family Wizard is a comprehensive app that enables you to conduct all your co-parenting communication on a single platform. It offers powerful tools that document your parenting time, reimbursement requests, payments, exchanges, and more. This means less conflict and more energy to focus on your children. And our other sponsor, SoberLink, thank you as well. They are a comprehensive alcohol monitoring system that combines a breathalyzer with wireless connectivity. As the experts in remote alcohol monitoring, SoberLink is the only system with facial recognition, tamper detection, and real-time results to provide documented proof of sobriety that promotes child safety and peace of mind. And I would like at this point to read one more poem so that we are sure to end on a very positive note. While I'm pulling that up, if you want to hear this webinar or more, as I mentioned before, you can register or check them out in our library. Also in our library, we have FamilyKind's free roundup. It's weekly or bi-weekly, depending on, right now we've gone back to weekly because of the COVID crisis. And also you can sign up to receive information via email as well. We do provide a lot of important information to parents. Okay, I've got my last poem that I'm going to read out loud. And it's called Ups and Downs. This is written by Rachel in Oregon when she was age 12. When my parents got divorced, I thought my world would end. I thought there would be hate between my parents. My thoughts were wrong. My world didn't end. It got bigger. There was no hate between my parents, just friendship. I have double the chores, but double the money. I have twice the fights, but twice the fun. I have 2 rooms to keep clean, but 2 rooms full of stuff. I have 2 times the pets, but 2 times the cleanup. There are ups and downs of having divorced parents, but no matter if they're together or not, I know they will always love me. So thank you, Rachel, for reminding us that these are challenging times, and if we remain calm when we deal with our co-parent, when we use self-talk to guide us in the best way to communicate and get ready to strategize how we can problem solve so that we can align rather than argue, we would be in great shape. I'm looking right now at additional questions because I see we have a few more minutes. So if everybody's in agreement, I will read one and see if our experts would like to give it a shot.
Okay.
Okay, so here's one. What can I do when I use self-talk and I statements and my co-parent doesn't respond or responds with a completely irrelevant attack rather than trying to work on the issue together? Diane, do you want to give that a shot?
Yeah, I've heard that comment or question from parents when they first start to use iMessages. And what I say to them or suggest to them is, you know what though, I think it's important that we keep like our side of the street clean. And sometimes when you start with a new behavior, it has to be reinforced and done over and over and over again. And I still think that one parent could role model for another parent, right? And maybe to not get frustrated about it yet or feel defeated, and to just keep trying, because first of all, it'll keep you calm, right? You're role modeling for your children, and maybe at some point your co-parent will follow your lead. And if they don't, again, you've kept your side of the street clean.
And I appreciate you emphasizing that there's value regardless of our co-parent's reaction.
Correct.
I mean,
yes.
Your safety is the number one thing we want to be sure you maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't control your co-parent. You can only control yourself.
Right.
So, use the skills that we've listed here tonight and do your best with them.
Yes.
And I like that you said, another way to say it is you're planting seeds for your co-parent. With time, many things do evolve. And if you continue to use these skills, you're ahead of the game. That's true.
Right.
Gerald, do you want to weigh in?
Don't be discouraged because one tool doesn't work. Or one skill does not work. That situation just goes into other, you can go into your toolbox of many other skills that we have in our in the course. So research those skills, because again, it's a set of skills that you apply to different situations. Again, if you had a toolbox and one tool did every job, then you wouldn't need a toolbox. You'll probably just need a tool pocket. So you have a toolbox that has many different tools. Just don't be discouraged. Just go right into the tool. Okay, maybe this is not the tool or the skill for this situation. Let me go into the box and pull out something that's going to be more effective. But be encouraged. So Gerald, and remain calm.
And on that note, hey folks, tune into future webinars so that we are going to do more deeper dives into the other tools that are in the toolbox. Thank you both so much, everybody. Good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. We send you our best.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye. Blessings.